Packers fans, right? An emotional ride that has spread from will Rodgers show up to let's make a Super Bowl run. And now the latest in the Rodgers new deal. There is an agreement and terms, new language. So let's bring in Tom Pelissero. Tom, what does this new deal mean?
Well, MJ, let's start with the basics. My understanding is there is no new money in this deal for Aaron Rodgers. He is still due $22 million in 2021, some of which is converted into a bonus to give the Packers a little bit more cap space this year. In 2022, same number then as well, $25.5 million that Rodgers is due. The last year of his old contract in 2023 now has been deleted. So Aaron Rodgers is under contract with the Packers for 2 more years instead of 3. The question now is, can all the issues that Rodgers voiced yesterday that he has with the Packers organization be sufficiently resolved where this relationship becomes sustainable and he is, in fact, a Packer for 2022 and perhaps beyond? Rodgers himself says he is not closing the door on anything. He's always optimistic about change, but clearly he is frustrated. And General Manager Brian Gutekunst said Rodgers has earned the right to have a discussion every year after the season about where he and the team are going. That sets the stage for some more very interesting conversations between Rodgers and his longtime team coming up, about 6 months from now, MJ.
Tom, of course, all of this, one of the many pieces to this Packers puzzle. I want to keep you in the fold here as we bring in the rest of our Total Access squad for today. So a big hello to our TAQB, David Carr, and coming out of the backfield, we got Maurice Jones-Drew. As we take a look in here, guys, at Packers camp. So it's been 2 years, 2 division titles, 2 NFC championship game defeats, unfortunately. Now, David, what is next in the Aaron Rodgers-Matt LaFleur relationship?
Well, hopefully the Packers fans can just sit back and say, thank God he's back. And so once you have him in camp and you have, the established offensive dominance that you've had in the last 2 years, it's just going to continue. I don't see any reason why the combination of Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers will not continue to be absolutely great on the offensive side of the ball. The trick is getting over the hump. How can you find a way to win those games, to get out and pass the championship game into the Super Bowl and get this guy another Super Bowl ring? That's the trick. So, but for me, I'm just happy because, when you think about before Matt LaFleur got there, how the offense was just basically carried by Aaron Rodgers. And there was a lot on his plate, and he didn't play his best football. Offense not being able to do what it's done. This offensive system has taken the league by storm. They have the best quarterback in the league to run it. So for me, it's a great time to be a Packer fan. Enjoy what you have right now. Hopefully it can go well enough at the end of the year that he wants to come back.
Well, MJ, you asked, is it enough to get over the hump? And I think when you look at the teams they've lost to, right? If you look at the Niners and what they had built, then the defense was phenomenal. They had the #1 defense, a strong running game, kind of stifled the Packers. And you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they came back and they beat them differently with an explosive offense. You talk about Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronkowski, Tom Brady, obviously Leonard Fournette. Those are 2 type of ways to get to that Super Bowl. I think the Packers need to go with the latter, which is the way the Buccaneers did, by adding more weapons to Aaron Rodgers. Continue to talk to him. And listen, he said in his press conference, I've talked with a lot of guys. I'm represented by a guy or a group that represents a lot of first-rounders. I speak to a lot of people. That a lot of people want to come and play with us here because of what I'm able to do at the quarterback position. Why not just go out and draft a first-round pick? We've been asking for that since I don't know when, right? Why not go out and I appreciate you going out and trading for Randall Cobb. Why not go out and get another big name in free agency? Why not go out and try to help your quarterback put up points? Because this game is about putting up points now. Yes, you can have a dominant, decent defense, and that may last a year or 2, but a dominant offense is going to last a much longer. And like David said, with Aaron Rodgers playing the way he's playing and in this system, you can expect that to go on for a long time. So I would try to put more weapons around him and see, and again, continue to communicate with him on what you guys are trying to do for the future. If he is part of it, awesome. If he's not, whatever may happen. But always communicate. I think that's the biggest thing out of all this is communicate and continue to put weapons around Aaron Rodgers and see what he can do.
MJD, one of the themes of Aaron Rodgers' press conference was his unhappiness that the Packers had let go a lot of veteran and older teammates, guys like Charles Woodson, R. James Jones later on in his career, Jordy Nelson, saying some of these guys would have come back, they would have taken pay cuts, they would have stuck around a little longer. Well, the way Green Bay has done business for about 3 decades now is not signing guys to third contracts. When guys start to get close to age 30, they move on from them, develop younger players, and bring them up. To go out and make that acquisition of Randall Cobb and trade a 6th-round draft pick to the Houston Texans for him, and the Texans paying $3 million of Cobb's salary to help facilitate that deal, is a direct acknowledgement and, in fact, a specific request from Aaron Rodgers. Do you go out and get this player, Randall Cobb, one of the guys he name-checked yesterday, even though it is fair to say that Randall Cobb's best days at this point might be behind him. Brian Gutekunst specifically said, without Aaron, we probably wouldn't be pursuing it. This is what Aaron wanted. That's why we did it. You have never heard a Packers general manager say anything like that about a player before, nor does this fit with the usual MO of how the Packers operate. So clearly they see that there are things that they can do to try to answer some of Rodgers' concerns. But it's not just one move. It's not just one trade. It is in totality here. How does the Packers organization operate? And come next January, because there's not a lot of roster moves you generally make during the season except at the trade deadline, have they done enough and shown him that there is a window here that this can become the type of organization that Aaron Rodgers wants to be a part of in 2022 and beyond?
Yeah, I think you're right, Tom. I think in Aaron Rodgers' dissertation yesterday, he literally put it all on the table. And it was clear that it was, all right, yes, right now as we're starting this season, but what is the bigger picture in all of this? All right, guys, thank you. Meantime, let's head over west to Oxnard, California, where Cowboys camp is going on and celebrating a very special 28th birthday, one Dak Prescott. Yeah, the birthday boy. He's day-to-day right now with a muscle strain in his right shoulder, but we've got eyes and ears right there in Oxnard by way of our Jane Slater, who is joining us now. Jane, Dak was out at practice. How did the birthday boy look?
Well, MJ, he was back on the football field, just not throwing using his throwing arm. What we were able to see was him energized when he was on the resistance cord, so really no limitations with his lower body work. And then when he was working out some of those individual quarterback drills, we saw him scrambling from left to right, and then we were able to see him drop back and even catching the football as a running back for the backup quarterbacks in some of those drills. But anytime we saw him try to get the ball back to a staff member, his other hand, the left one, not the throwing arm. So I think the big thing that stood out the most for me today was after seeing that injury to Dak back in October that ended his season, you could feel it in the locker room. There was just this cloud over the team. That didn't happen today. You know, he was in great spirits. It is, of course, as you said, his 28th birthday. He was having fun out here with the group. He chatted with a lot of us here in the media. He was chatting with guys in the huddle, and even just talking to his teammates, you get the sense that he's going to be just fine. It's just an abundance of caution, and even having a little fun here on his birthday. Cake to the face. Are you surprised at all that Ezekiel Elliott was there holding him back so he couldn't get away from the group there? His offensive line smashing it right to the face. I did ask the team, what are the plans for Dak's birthday today? And every single person we talked to, MJ, from top secret to that is confidential, sounds like it's going to be a fun one, whatever it is.
You know what? I hope that plan includes bringing another cake. No one got a slice of cake, just straight to the face to Dak. That is so rude. Let's bring in David and MJD for a little bit more here on Dak and the Cowboys. Now, David, you know, we're talking about this injury here. I think the gut reaction is like, oh, no, that's not what we want to hear. But is it normal for quarterbacks to be going through this type of thing at this point?
Yeah, I'm speak for every quarterback that's ever gone through training camp. Even though this is early, your arm does get tired. And I think one of the things that happens in particular with guys that rehab in the offseason a particular injury is there's a lot of times when you're throwing in the offseason where you're just kind of in a controlled environment, for lack of a better term. You're not really being pushed by offensive, defensive line sliding around you. There's not the intensity of, I have to get this ball out quickly. My mechanics might be a little off. It's very controlled, what he was doing for the last couple weeks. Then you fast forward to training camp, and now you're instantly put into a competitive environment where you're going to throw balls off platform. You're going to do things physically that you haven't done. So when Mike McCarthy calls it a fatigue injury, I know exactly what that is. And that is just, you haven't really done some of these things in those type of postures that you're doing now in these live 11-on-11 drills. So, abundance of caution, let him throw the football left-handed. I almost saw him throw the cake right-handed, and I had to say something, but then he switched it over. It was very smart by him to switch it over to the left hand to go ahead and finish off whatever teammate that was. But I think he's going to be just fine. Just take your time, rest. Mental reps right now are just as important as physical reps. All that stuff is going to get worked out, but make sure he's okay. He'll bounce back, and he'll be just fine. But all this is, we used to be on pitch counts. They'd go out on Eli Manning. I remember Eli Manning getting pulled out of the middle of practice because he'd reached his 65 or 70 throws. And that was it. That's all they gave him. So maybe they have to start doing something like that with Dak, but it didn't affect Eli Manning at all. He went on to win the Super Bowl. So Dak can still do those fantastic things that we've seen him do on the field. It's not going to bother him at all later on.
Yeah, for me, it's yes, it's a fatigue injury, but it's injury, right? And that's the one thing that's hurt the Cowboys over the last couple of years of guys not being healthy. If it was the offensive line, they dealt with a ton of injuries, or obviously last year Dak, or insert those type of things. As an offense and as a team, the Cowboys are going to go as 4 go. So you want to make sure. Yeah, he may be 28, but he may need a vet day or two, David. I mean, we may need to give him a day off so he can get some rest and rehab on the side. Again, he is the franchise quarterback, and you saw what your team looked like without him. For me, it's more of let's stay healthy. The healthiest team throughout the course of this 17-game season is going to be the best team that goes to the playoffs. And the Cowboys, they have the talent. They have the ability. You see Ezekiel Elliott there. He looks great this offseason. He took it on himself to be in better shape, and we saw the drills he was doing on Instagram, if you guys follow him, and all those things. Those are phenomenal drills. He looked phenomenal, right? He had the drone flying over and everything. He did a great job with his content. But he looks better. The offensive line is healthy. Everyone, CeeDee Lamb is making one-handed catches left and right all over the practice field. And Jane, you can talk a little bit more about that later. But the key is, can they stay healthy as a team? Because if they can stay healthy, they're going to be one of the teams in the NFC contending for that Super Bowl. The question is, though, can they remain healthy for throughout the course of the season?
And guys, they need health for continuity. Even Mike McCarthy talked about that today. We didn't see Tyron Smith out there because he was dealing with an elbow tendonitis. Didn't see Michael Gallup, still dealing with the ankle injury when he flipped over the fence catching that pass in the red zone. And we still haven't seen Amari Cooper, who's dealing with an ankle injury. And so you need to get the band back together because they have been inconsistent out here at practice, something that Ezekiel Elliott even talked about. And, we've even talked a little bit about this defense. Zeke said, yeah, they've been doing a really good job. They seem refreshed. They're energized. Blake Jarwin yesterday said they were doing a really good job of disguising things. And so he said he'd like to see them having consistency in camp against the offense, but even saying he can't wait for this defense to actually go against opposing offenses. I will say this. Yesterday, those backups were really, really struggling. I counted 5 interceptions. I didn't have a tally today, but it did seem like Garrett Gilbert felt a little bit more confident out there. And even Ezekiel Elliott saying that that's a guy they've got a lot of confidence in. He comes in like a veteran. He was able to play in a couple of games for them last year, and he really commands the huddle. They're going to need to get him up to speed. I even addressed that a little bit with Mike McCarthy today. Look, in 2016, we saw that you need depth at quarterback because of what happened to Romo and then Kellen Moore. And then, of course, we saw that last year. So I think if you're going to look for a quarterback in the Hall of Fame game, it's probably safe to say that that's going to be Garrett Gilbert. And maybe that's a good thing to get these backups some reps just in case.
As everyone has mentioned here, health, the top priority here, as well as, to Jane's point, continuity and consistency heading into 2021. All right, more with the Dallas Cowboys from Oxnard a little later, as Kurt Warner has exclusive interviews with some of the boys. This Saturday, though, watch all 32 teams take the field. It's called Training Camp Back Together Saturday, fueled by Gatorade. So we got a full day for you of practices, fan fest, all the way across the league. You cannot miss this NFL reunion. Training Camp Back Together Saturday right here on the NFL Network. All right, let's get you caught up on some other top headlines from around the league. So number 2 overall draft pick, Zach Wilson, he has signed his rookie deal and will join the Jets after missing the first 2 practices. We got a photo here, a nice flick, nice smile. Let that ink dry. Let the fun begin is the caption by the Jets. All right, still monitoring the situation in Baltimore as Ravens QB Lamar Jackson has tested positive for COVID-19. The Washington football team placed 3 players on the reserve COVID-19 list, including wide receiver Curtis Samuel. Coming up next, Bill Belichick and the Patriots struggled in 2020, but with a healthy camp total access, let's get you right to Foxborough to check in on the Patriots. All right, so Bill Belichick went against what he usually does, drafted Mac Jones early in the draft, but Cam Newton is also in that quarterback room. The guys are with me here, MJD and David Carr. Fellas, as camp moves along here, do you see their quarterback situation shaking out any differently than expected, David?
You know, I really don't. I like Mac Jones a lot. I think he has great poise and understanding of offensive systems. I think he's going to be fantastic with what the Patriots are eventually going to do, but I don't think there's any rush here because I really liked what I saw, you know, from at least from a run game standpoint and a schematic standpoint with Cam Newton in this offense and Josh McDaniels. They ran the football effectively. You know, Cam was at one of the highest clips as far as, you know, touchdowns responsible for his team. He was a big part of this offense. If they could just improve the pass game, you know, and they get some guys back on defense, you know, that opted out last year, this team could vastly improve. I don't think that you just say, hey, the Bills are going to win this division. I don't think that that's something that just is in the thought process of these guys right here as we see Josh McDaniels coaching his quarterbacks up. He's geared up and ready to really go out there and compete because think about what they did in free agency. You know, they got Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar. I mean, they're just a host of people for Cam to choose from in the pass game. They struggled in the pass game at times. They also had some good times. And Julian Edelman had the most yards he ever had in a game with Cam Newton at quarterback. So it's not like he can't do it. I think they just needed an abundance of talent to come in, and that's exactly what they did. They went out and spent some money to go bring in some guys to score some points and to help that pass game. So I'm excited to see Cam Newton. Mac Jones is going to be the guy eventually down the line. But I'm excited to see Cam in this offense with some guys on the outside he can throw it to, that run game going, that defense playing like we know they can, and see if they can compete in this division.
You know, David, I agree with you, but it's not about the guys on the outside. It's about the 2 tight ends that they brought in that I feel like Cam's going to benefit from the most. If you go back and look at his career with Greg Olsen, he threw the ball to him a ton, 1,000-yard receiver for him multiple years there in Carolina. Cam loves to throw up the seams, and tight ends, as we both know, David, they're the biggest mismatch on the field. And I saw we had a thing that said additions, right? The new additions. Let's not forget about the guys that opted out last year as well for COVID, right? That decided not to play, that came back. And so you have a year off of football that you get compensated for, and you can kind of train and get yourself back completely healthy and then come back and play again. The Patriots, to me, are going to surprise a lot of people. And you may say, what's surprise? And that was one of our producers, Jen Koski, asked that on our call. Like, what is surprise? Surprise is don't be surprised if the Patriots win the AFC East. Let's remember, in the first game against the Buffalo Bills, it was a very close game where Cam Newton fumbles the ball at the end of the game, going down to score to win it. Now, the second time they play, they get blown out because they had a lot of injuries and guys were gone because of COVID situations. But if the Patriots can play the way they played early in the season with all those guys, getting all these guys back and these new additions, don't be surprised to see Cam Newton, one of the top quarterbacks in the AFC. Don't be surprised to see this running game take off and this defense be the same defense that we're used to seeing the Patriots have when they were winning those Super Bowls. I just believe that Bill Belichick and this staff saw what they had last year, and they decided to go out and add some pieces, and they got everybody that they wanted to build this Patriots dynasty back up.
You know, MJD, history here, Patriots history, that is with you because they've actually never had back-to-back losing seasons going back to 1994. So they quickly learned to adjust and then go back to their domination. All right, guys, a little bit more on that later. So let's head on to another camp now for you. Let's head to the Colts, where they are welcoming in, of course, their new QB. Carson Wentz is reunited with Frank Reich. They got their own little family reunion, I guess, his old OC, of course, in Philly. Wentz and Reich look to recreate some of that magic we saw in 2017. Wentz in the MVP conversation at that point before he tore his ACL and ended that season. Guys, Carson Wentz said yesterday that he knows that there are high expectations in Indy. Understatement, right? He said he's feeling at home being reunited there with Reich. Will he be able to live up to those expectations, though, David?
They're going to get that first.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's all about, right, MJ? Is they were 11-5 last year, and they have everything. They have a great offensive line that's going to run the football. Frank Reich is a fantastic head coach, great play caller. Their defense is young and fast, and they can fly around and get the football back for you. They play indoors. There's a reason Phillip Rivers went there, because he saw it as a situation where all they needed was a quarterback to give some stability and go out and play some good football. So it's all on number 2. We see Carson standing there, and is he talented enough to do this? Absolutely. The biggest thing for him is confidence. Confidence in his play caller, confidence in himself. When he was at his absolute best, he would let the ball go, rip it with anticipation. He knew exactly where he was going. He knew what his read progression was. A lot of times when you watched him in the last couple years, in particular last year, he was not confident in himself. He would hold on to the football. He would throw it late. He would make bad decisions, or he wouldn't run. And when he did run, he was looking, should I take the extra yard? Should I slide? What do I do? He was a very indecisive quarterback. Frank Reich is going to be tasked with, and I believe that he will, get Carson Wentz back to playing supremely confident, because talent-wise, not a problem. I've seen this guy make some incredible throws. We talk about Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, some of these throws these guys make. This guy is equally talented in different platforms, a big physical kid that can give you all the effort you'd ever want, running the football and being tough. So I'm excited to watch Carson. He knows it's all on him. He knows this is just ready to go. This team is ready to be in the playoffs and do some damage there. But it is all on his shoulders, because everything is right there for him.
Yeah, David, I would say this. He's probably in the best situation where you just don't have to mess things up. I mean, we talked about it again on our call, and you said it, David. You said Phillip Rivers couldn't move at all and had this team 11-5. Yep. Now, you get an athletic Carson Wentz who's strong, big, can run. We saw what he did against the Niners last year when he was with the Eagles, running the ball in that zone read. That's another element that the Colts can bring to their offense that they haven't had in a while. Even with Andrew Luck, they didn't have it as good as with Carson Wentz. I think for me, it's just more of, hey, take what the defense is giving. You don't have to force the ball, and you don't have to be Superman here. When you were in Philly, you had to be Superman a little bit, and there were times, and it kind of came back to bite you in the end. Here, just get the ball to the open player. We have an offensive line that's built for you. We have a top 10 defense that's going to get you the ball back, create turnovers, get after the quarterback. Just don't mess it up. And sometimes that's hard to do, because you're so used to playing at that MVP level and getting all those accolades. This time around, I think Carson Wentz needs to just settle down and just be one of the guys. That's it. Just be one of the guys. You don't have to be Superman. Hand the ball off, throw it to the open guy. Guys will be running open for you. Your defense, like I said, is going to help you out. A nice complementary football. And the Colts will be up there again competing for where they should have been the last couple years in that AFC Championship game.
I don't think there's another player right now that's more set up for success than Carson Wentz. At this point, the season is his for the taking if he wants it. He's just got to make it happen. All right, we'll have more from Colts camp, so to come later in the hour. So Jalen Hurts provided an blame Jalen Smith. His 154 tackles ranked second in the NFL in 2020. He caught up with Kurt Warner and Rhett Lewis at camp.
All right, back here at Dallas Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California. Rhett Lewis, Hall of Famer, Kurt Warner, and it's our pleasure to hang out now with new number 9 here for the Dallas Cowboys. Jalen Smith out here, fresh number, fresh season, second day of padded practice here. Jalen, give us a sense of what's going on with your defense right now.
Oh, it's a new year. We're locked in. We're focused. Having a chance to have an off-season, OTAs, mini camp, really allows the defense specifically an opportunity to kind of understand our alignment, our assignment, and then from there, it's just about key and technique now.
So take me back to last year. Obviously, last year didn't play out like you wanted it to. When you look at that defense and you transition into this year, you say one thing. What's the one thing that you say we have to do better this year if we want to turn that corner?
Stop the run and turn over the ball.
Yeah.
You know, they're late last year, late in the season, last 4 or 5 games, we were able to turn it around, getting turnovers and things of that nature. But if you can't stop the run and make the offense one-dimensional, it's going to be hard because everyone's legit in this league. Me being in the center of it last year, got a chance to experience everything, playing every game, and it's something that you remember. So I'm looking forward to this year.
And Jalen, you and Leighton Vander Esch have formed one of the better linebacker combinations in football here the last couple of seasons. Now you add in a first-round pick and Micah Parsons from Penn State. I think a lot of talk about, well, who's going to line up where and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. How have you kind of seen, early on here in camp, responsibilities and roles kind of develop?
The biggest thing with Dan Quinn coming in is that he understands how to use his talent and his players, and he's going to allow everybody to play to their strengths. Whether it's blitzing, whether it's running sideline to sideline, getting after it in some man coverage. That's the beautiful thing about us, and us being deep in the linebacker room, everybody's got to be ready. It's year 6 for me. I'm the old head in the room, so it starts with me. I got to make sure that we're all locked and loaded.
There's always different philosophies when it comes to defense. We heard some rumors last year, Mike Nolan in, that you guys were doing a lot of things early and maybe weren't getting lined up and didn't have a feel for it, COVID, all that stuff. Watching Dan Quinn's defense over the years, I've always felt they're pretty simple. It's about get lined up, run, and attack the football. Is that where you guys are at this year, and does that play to your guys' strengths?
Absolutely. Understand our identity. Running, getting after the ball, making our hits in the check zone. And really, it's just about a relentless pursuit to the ball. That's what Dan Quinn's defense about. We've been in those defenses before, but it's elevated with the players that we have. And we all care about one another, so we're playing together. And that's something that has to continue to show every single day.
Where have you kind of seen the biggest areas of competition with some of the positions on defense so far through camp?
Honestly, I would say everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. We're loaded everywhere. From a defensive line having depth, from the linebacker core having depth with, with Micah coming in and Keanu coming in, and then we got some younger guys that are developed and they're ready. They're going to be ready. It's a close niche. The secondary, we got a bunch of guys at safety and corner who can get the job done. So really, it's just about everybody making everybody better. And that's our mentality, doing whatever it takes to win.
Anybody out there in that secondary that's kind of been jumping out to you early on? We know Trayvon Diggs kind of established himself, maybe one of those corner spots, but some competition out there for some of the other starting spots.
Yeah, we got competition.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the name of this, the start of this season is just having the personnel and having competition. You got AB, a guy who came in with me, Dak, and Zeke. A year 6 guy who's out here balling.
Anthony Brown,
we got a bunch of guys that's here. A bunch of guys that we drafted. A bunch of guys coming over from Atlanta with KZ.
That's right.
And JK, who I remember playing at Clemson. We should have beat them, by the way. But no, it's a beautiful feeling. Yeah. We're all just trying to make each other better. And like I said, me being an old head, it starts for me. So I'm out here running.
As players, we're always talking about not listening to the noise. But the narrative out there is, hey, if the defense can just be middle of the pack, this team's got a chance. How much do you take that personal?
We won't be the problem. We're motivated every single day towards that. So we believe in one another, and we're going to show it this year.
What'd you get Dak for his birthday? Anything good?
Honestly, it's confidential.
Confidential. Top secret.
The biggest mystery in the league right now, what they get Dak for his birthday. We got to get Jen Slater to dig a little deeper on that. All right, so Cowboys ranked bottom 5 in scoring and rush defense in 2020. They're 29.6 points per game allowed in last year was the second most in a season in team history, only allowing more points in 1960, which was their inaugural campaign. All right, back with David Carr, Maurice Jones-Drew, and our analytics expert, Cynthia Freeland. Let's talk the Cowboys and rivals, the Eagles. Shifting gears to Philly. They're eyeing that NFC East crown as well, and Philly enters the season looking a little different with new head coach Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts as their starter. David, is this the answer for them to get back to being playoff contenders?
Well, I mean, it's complicated, MJ, because I think that what you have is, a team that's trying to rally from having a lot of injuries last year, and they're trying to find themselves. And Nick Sirianni was brought in to kind of rekindle some of the things they had offensively a couple years back when Frank Reich was there, coming from the same coaching tree. So what do? You have Jalen Hurts, who's a young, talented quarterback that reminds me, honestly, and I'm not saying that he's the same player, but when you watch Jalen play, and you watch Russell Wilson play, early in their career, they play almost identical style of football. So they throw the ball well when they have to. They're never in a hurry. They're always in complete control. They both would tuck it and run with the football and pose an extreme threat on the ground with their legs. And Jalen's in the same mold. So what do you do with that? You don't want to ever take away that ability to run and really to break down a defense. You just grow the passing game and you grow your offense around a guy like that. So what will Nick Sirianni do? I think what he will do is establish the run. You have to get the run game going. You have to be back where you were when Philly was having success, in their Super Bowl year, and get with the run game and get the offensive line healthy and get everything to flow off of that with the run pass option, which we talked about, to the ends of the earth when they were doing that a couple years back. They need to do that with Jalen because you couple that with also the ability for him to keep the ball, a la like Lamar Jackson in Baltimore on those zone runs. It's just instant offense. It's easy offense for your offense and for your quarterback. So the big thing there is to just be smart. And he does a good job, just like I mentioned earlier, Russell Wilson, of knowing when to get down, knowing when to slide. He's an extremely, extremely good athlete and a talented runner. But if he can grow as a passer, that's just going to be that much more dynamic. And then the rest of the things just have to kind of flow around him. There has to be better play around him. The offensive line has to stay healthy. The running game has to be there. You have to make some plays on the outside. Devontae Smith. So there's a lot of things that go into that, but that's where you start.
MJD, if you can hear me, Zach Ertz, a big role here, along with the receiver depth for this Phillies team.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Got you.
Yeah,
buddy.
I got you now.
Oh, I'm good? Yeah, listen, working at home, things get a little crazy. But what I was saying was David hit it right on the head about being healthy. It happens. Listen, it always happens to me, so I'm not worried about it. This is the thing. I wrote an article about running backs, right? And I had Miles Sanders ranked 25th or 27th or whatever it might have been. And the Philly fans got all over me. But the number one ability, David and Cynthia, we know this as well as you, MJ, is availability. If you're not available, how can you be ranked higher? If you're always banged up, if you're always hurt, it goes to the offensive line. They had 7 different combinations of offensive linemen play last year. So how can you find that continuity and that chemistry? And so I'm concerned because your offensive line has been banged up. Your running back is banged up, right? Your receivers have been banged up. Your defense has been banged up. And it's just it's been like that for years. So it hasn't just been a healthy, good football. So let's see if Jalen Hurts and this Eagle staff can put something together offensively. But right now I'm concerned because can the offensive line stay healthy? Or are you going to have to run back with 7 other different combinations? Can your running back stay healthy to simplify the coverage for your quarterback? And can your receivers show up and make plays? And then last but not least, what are you going to do with Zach Ertz? We're still trying to figure out, is he going to get traded? Is he on the team? What's going on there? There's a lot of distraction right now in this Eagles organization.
Talk about distraction. One thing that actually kind of flags as being a problem for me, when I look to see what happens to this defense, and this is a very good defense, don't get me wrong, but when you're asking so much of this defense and you have a new defensive coordinator, remember Jim Schwartz is gone, now it's Jonathan Gannon, new regime, new opportunities. I've seen some good play from them. I saw Darius Slay, he was good, but I don't know, and Steven Nelson obviously coming over from the Steelers, but I'm very concerned you're going to ask so much of this defense that it's going to potentially be on the field for a long time, and that doesn't, with a 17-game season, that could be a potential bigger problem. And obviously then if you don't get the offense going, those two things go hand in glove. So realistically speaking, you got to get that run game and that O-line, just like you said, MJD. And we don't know about Zach Ertz, and we don't know if it's going to be Dallas Goedert. So when I look at this team, I think that it has like the opposite effect of a complementary. It's kind of complementary, like, where are we going to find sparks of goodness?
Yeah, I feel like this is one of the teams in the league, if not the team with the most question marks right now. How's the O-line going to look as the starters come back from injury? How's Jalen Hurts really going to be activated in this leading role? I mean, and the depth at wide receiver goes on and on and on. I'm hoping, though, that they have the answers to all of that. All right, as we continue here, the 2020 season will live on in the minds of fans forever. From empty seats to cardboard cutout fans. I mean...